Good to go. Okay, this meeting is called to order. It's been rescheduled from September 28th to October 14th at 5:15 due to Hurricane Ian. At this time, please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we need to adopt the agenda. You've all had a chance to look at that. Is there any changes or additions? Seeing none, then do we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'll restate the agenda items. We have a presentation of the proposed budget and millage rate. We have an adoption of the year 22-23 millage rate, the resolution 2022 through 2004. We have the adoption of the year 22-23 budget and the resolution 2022-05. And then we have fire chief remarks and commissioner remarks. Our first item is the presentation of the proposed budget and millage rate, and that would be Chief Martin.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for the accommodations and obviously rescheduling the final budget hearing. We definitely find ourselves in unique, unprecedented times dealing with the aftermath of the catastrophic devastation our community has faced due to the impacts of Hurricane Ian. Again, I'd like to reiterate the board chair's sentiments that our hearts and our deepest thoughts and sympathies stand with our community and the survivors and those who lost loved ones, friends, and neighbors in our community. Our first public budget hearing was on September 14th. At that point, I placed before you a tentative millage rate of 2.9851, which is the same millage rate of the previous fiscal year. That is 12.8% higher than the rollback rate, which is 2.6463, which the rollback rate represents the same amount of revenue, or the millage rate that we would have to set to bring in the same amount of revenue of the previous fiscal year that ended on September 30th. I am recommending the 2.9851 millage rate, which would give us a total budget of $28,890,107. The principal reasons prior to Hurricane Ian is the increase in labor costs we are seeing across the local markets, increase in fuel, the ability to adjust to an inflationary economy and the inflationary economic conditions that you are all well aware of, and to help facilitate facility planning, which obviously, as you all are well aware of, Station 31 has received catastrophic damage, and we are in the process of assessing that now. With that, Commissioners, I do recommend that we stick with the 2.9851 millage rate, especially in these times that we're currently facing, as well as the no changes to the tentative budget proposal that I presented on September 14th. That concludes my presentation. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Since our tax base has been destroyed, can the people, we set the tax at whatever we said. Are people going to be able to pay that? I mean, all the businesses are gone, the houses are gone. I mean, I'm all for keeping it the same, but at the same time, I feel empathy for the people who lost everything and their lives. You know, I happen to know two. One's still missing. You know, we need to move forward, but we also need, I believe we need to consider lowering it, not to the rollback rate, but maybe a little in between, just to show some compassion to the community. I mean, I'm open to suggestions. That's, you know, it's just the way I feel.
John?
I don't disagree with you, Rob. The other part of my thinking that would go with that is because of maybe some people inability to pay their taxes, we may not recoup everything that's proposed. So I think lowering it could be very dangerous and set us up for even more trying times. But that's my 2 cents. The only question I have for the chief and the rest of the staff is, have we received any communication, letter, email, text, angry phone call in regards to the millage rate and the proposed upcoming years?
From September 14th up to the point of the impacts of Hurricane Ian and Hurricane Ian roaring ashore, we had not.
Okay, thank you.
Jim?
Again, I agree with you in that people have taken an incredible hit here, but I also agree with John. I think we should probably just move forward with the budget we had prepared for. We're not likely to necessarily get all the money because some people are not going to pay, and that'll be another matter we can deal with. And I think as we move forward into the next year, we have to recover ourselves as well as provide services to the community as it begins to rebuild. So at this point, I would be inclined to say let's go forward with the budget we had prepared and planned for. We may or may not spend all of that money, certainly not on the items that we had originally thought because of many of the changes that have occurred in our community in the last week or two. So that's, for what it's worth, that's my thoughts.
Okay, my thoughts were that, my first thoughts were as you were describing, but then as I began to realize that, we're gonna need to rebuild, the idea of building a brand new Station 31 is changed. And we're now gonna just be replacing some of our properties. And as much as, I'm a taxpayer as we all are, I'd like to lower the rate too, but I think this is not the time to do it. And so I would be in favor of the 2.951. And that's our decision for all of us, no doubt.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions for Chief? Okay, we'll move along. Adoption of the 22-23 millage rate, the resolution. Chief, you want to introduce that to us?
Yes, this is Resolution 2022-04, and the purpose is to establish the final millage rate of 2.9851 for year ending September 30th, 2023. You have a copy of the resolution in front of you.
Okay. At this time, we'll open this for public input. Any public care to make a statement? If you do, please keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Seeing none, we'll close that portion. This time, discussion. Any discussion from Jim?
No further discussion.
None for me. Okay, then we need to, I think Commissioner Bennett is going to read the resolution for us.
Okay. Resolution number 2022-04. Whereas the Board of Commissioners of the Fort Myers Beach Fire Control District has properly noticed and held its public hearing to set the final millage rate for the 2022-2023 fiscal year on October 14th, 2022 at 5:15. Again, this was rescheduled from Wednesday, September 28th due to Hurricane Ian. Now therefore, pursuant to Florida Statute 200.065, the Board of Commissioners of the Fort Myers Beach Fire Control District hereby adopts and sets the final operating millage rate of 2.9851 mils. That's $2.9851 per $1,000 of net taxable assessed value for the fiscal year 2022-2023. The above stated final millage rate of 2.9851 mils exceeds the rollback rate of 2.6463 mils by 12.8%. This resolution shall take immediate effect upon its adoption.
Do we have a second to that?
I'll second.
Okay. foregoing resolution was offered by Commissioner Bennett, who moved the resolution's adoption. The motion was seconded by Commissioner Nichol, and upon being put to vote, the vote was as follows. Commissioner Wood, yes. Commissioner Fleming,
No.
Commissioner Bennett,
Yes.
Commissioner Lezak is not here. Commissioner Nichol,
Yes.
vote passes 3-1. This is duly passed and adopted on its 14th day of October, 2022. Let's move on to the next item, adoption of the 22-23 budget, and the resolution follows that. Chief, would you introduce that?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. The purpose of this is to establish our final budget for year ending September 30th, 2023. The final budget will give us a total of $28,890,107 total expenditures and reserves. The resolution is number 2022-05, which you all have a copy of.
Thank you, Chief. At this time, we'll open public input. Please keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Do we have any public comment? Seeing none, we'll close that portion. Any discussion? Comment?
No.
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 And I have none either. Okay, at this time, Commissioner Nichol will read the resolution. Please state the number.
Resolution 2022-05, whereas the Board of Commissioners of the Fort Myers Beach Fire Control District has noticed and has held its public hearing to set the final budget for the 2022-2023 fiscal year on October 14th, 2022 at 5:15 p.m. This was rescheduled due to Hurricane Ian from Wednesday, September 28th, 2022. Now therefore, pursuant to Florida Statute 200-065, the Board of Commissioners of the Fort Myers Beach Fire Control District hereby adopts and sets the final budget, setting forth the appropriations and revenue estimate for the fiscal year of 2022-2023 in the amount of $28,890,107. And this resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
The foregoing resolution was offered by Commissioner Nichol, who moved the resolution's adoption. The motion was seconded by Commissioner Fleming, and upon being put to vote, the vote was as follows. I vote yes. Commissioner Fleming,
Yes.
Commissioner Bennett,
Yes.
Commissioner Lezak is not in attendance, Commissioner Nichol.
Yes.
Vote passes 4-0. This is duly passed and adopted on this 14th day of October, 2022. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, Fire Chief remarks, and you have something special.
Thank you, Commissioners. If you would allow me to digress from the subject matter at hand, as you know, we have transitioned from a response phase to Hurricane Ian to a recovery phase. We are desperately working hand in hand with our partners, with the town, Lee County government, and Lee County Sheriff to return a sense of normalcy to our citizenry. Part of that return to normalcy is when they call 911, Fort Myers Beach Fire District assets are quickly on scene, along with the numerous partnering agencies. In conjunction with that, our fire district members, from our newest firefighters to our fire inspectors, are running humanitarian aid and medical missions every day on ATVs. Last night at approximately 11:30 last night, our district vice president sent me a text thanking me for getting them into community and made the video I'd like to share with you.
You can count on me now. 1, 2, 3, I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on you. 5, 4, 3, 2, you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do. Oh yeah. Ooh, okay.
So I thought that was a very nice video to share, based on the circumstances, that there is a bright light at the end. the community will rebuild. We will rebuild stronger, and there's hope. Beyond that, I'd like to introduce Captain Tim Smith, who has just joined us. He is tasked with us through the state AOC. He's a cost recovery assistance to help the district recover our costs from our response and our ongoing recovery efforts. He is here with a retired fire chief from Jacksonville who is serving as an advisor to me and going to help us with temporary facilities so we have an adequate emergency response force on the island as we start to rebuild. Finally, I'd just like to express my deepest gratitude to all of you. This has been a difficult time, so thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Okay, next item, commissioner remarks. Who'd like to go first? Ron, you want to go first?
Sure. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's just devastating. You can never, this is what you see on TV. It can't happen here. Well, it did. And it's terrible. It's catastrophic. It's tragic. I'm so proud of the men and women of our organization. They have responded beyond the call of duty. Every single employee of our organization has exceeded our expectations. We don't have frivolous job descriptions. We don't have people whose job is to sort of hide. We're small, we're lean. Thank God for the fire, FEMA teams, the logistics and everything. I mean, it's very impressive. I've been on the island every day except for Wednesday last week, I think. Every time I go over the bridge, it got worse, but now it's getting better in that a lot. The devastation's still there, but it's not, the houses are not in the middle of the street. I went over the bridge with Ron at 7:30 a.m. the day after, and we went left about 200 yards, and that you gotta walk. It's overwhelming, and thank you, Chief Martin. You are an outstanding leader. You instill pride and courage and dedication in everyone, and we could not have done this without you. I really, really mean that. And I could talk for an hour, but that's enough. But thank you to everybody, everybody.
Thank you. John?
First of all, well said, Ron. I couldn't agree more completely. But, this tragedy has literally brought out the best in every member of our organization. The pride that I have in seeing these folks do what they do. Our volunteers that have come with the task force from Pennsylvania to every other state I've ever imagined help coming from, but not to Florida. Folks that aren't familiar with our scenarios, our waterways, our unique structures and the age of our community. All the challenges really, I think, presented were probably beyond what everybody had ever trained for, and they all did an outstanding job. I'd also like to thank Chief Martin for making the call to shut down the island for SAR efforts. Without that, I'm just confident we would have had more loss of life, and it was the right call, and I stand behind it completely. Again, everybody's just done an outstanding job. It's been a pure joy to watch. I can't say thank you enough to every member. I've sent it by email. I've shaken every hand I can get a hold of, and I will continue to do so. And we've got some things in the works down the road for the folks to recognize their hard work. Thanks to Chief Rogers for allowing us to steal some space here this evening. Again, the community helping the community, which is awesome to see. Captain, for being here. We appreciate it, and we're going to use you up before you're out of here, so be prepared, sir.
Yes, sir.
It's one of those things. And, the other thing, and I'm trying not to be long-winded, but it's so hard, the members of our community deserve top-notch service, and they've received it tenfold over the last several days since the storm, and they see it. They recognize it. Our guys out there on gators running street to street, delivering water and T-shirts and detectors and a little bit of everything on top of answering and doing their normal duties. is just outstanding, and I think every member, at least I've had contact with, of the community, sees it, they recognize it, and they'll remember it. This budgeting process is never easy to spend the taxpayers' money. If you'd asked me that 20 years ago, I would have laughed, because I come from a federal government background where it was really easy to spend the taxpayers' money. You just didn't think about the connection. At our level, we each pay it, our neighbors pay it, our businesses pay it, and every dollar is going to be needed here in the coming year and forward to recover from this and to regrow the organization, our community. So I'll stop there without going on forever.
Jim?
Thank you, Chairman Wood. I have to say the pain that our community has gone through is palpable. I mean, the day I was out with the chief the day after the storm, we went down the island as far as we could get before there was nowhere else to go because of the sand dune that was about 18 feet tall in the middle of the road. I was choking. I was literally choking because the devastation was so incredible. And I felt it because I was a member of the community, so I know every other member of our community felt it too. And I saw our organization step up. I saw our organization take a very strong leadership role. The chief took a strong leadership role in trying to save lives. I think his decision to close the island was exactly the right decision, so that we could have an opportunity to save lives. And I know it was hard for the community because everybody wants to get back to their place, but in the long run, we're talking the difference between property and people. And I think when that comes up, it has to be people have to come first. And I agree with Commissioner Bennett. I think we saved lives, people that may have been lost if we had not done it and allowed USAR the opportunity to have free roam over the island and move as quickly as they could. Because as we all know, there's a time limit that a person in dire straits can survive before they're just not going to. So getting to them fast is incredibly important. The men and women of our organization, I thought, stepped up incredibly, and I am so proud of them, every single one. I've tried to get around to the stations, and like Commissioner Bennett, I shook a lot of hands. And also the people that responded to help us. It is an incredible brotherhood of public safety and fire safety individuals that came to Fort Myers Beach to try to help us put together a plan of action that would save lives and reduce property damage and get our community back on track as fast as possible to recovery. So I commend you, Chief Martin, for what an outstanding job you have done, and I appreciate it, and I really commend the men and women of Fort Myers Beach Fire Department for the outstanding job they have done. Thank you.
Thank you. Chief, I also want to thank you for closing the island. I think that was the move that saved lives, and I know it was probably a difficult decision for you to make, and you may not have had much support, but you've got the support of all of us here. I always feel that your life is more important than anything I own, except my own life, of course. But that's got to be the priority, and you understood that and stood up for it. I keep meeting people, and in the fire department, and they are really, really tired, but I don't hear them complaining and saying, "Oh, I got to do another shift." They're out there looking to save somebody or save somebody's life or help those of us that get hurt, trying to clear our properties, and I'm sure that happens every day. I actually feel really good about the future. I think looking at the people in the fire department, just them, I think, wow, these people really are stepping up beyond belief, beyond anything I ever expected. And so I feel really good about the island. It'll never be the same. We know that. This is a game changer, but I feel really good about the direction we're going. And as difficult as the budget decisions were today and the millage decisions, I think I think we are going to make this a better place, and through people, through all of our workers and your leadership. Ron, you did just, I'm so impressed. You know, difficult times bring true leaders out and prove that how great they are, and you've just done a great job, and along with everyone else, your whole administrative staff and workers. So thank you for doing what was necessary to save lives, basically. Okay, that's enough for me. Any other comments before we,
I have one final comment.
please?
The Fort Myers Beach Fire Department will never be confused with the city of Fort Myers. We've always been, oh, you live in Fort Myers? No, I live on the beach. Well, thanks to a catastrophic devastation, I would rather be confused, but we're not. Thank you.
And you know, I mentioned to someone the other day, you can't be a leader and a victim at the same time. You have to be one or the other. And we were victims. Now we're going to be leaders. And Ron's proven that point. So that's each one of us in our neighborhoods, and and I hear incidences of all of you, and I'm really proud to be on the commission. You guys. That's enough. Okay. If there's nothing else, this meeting is adjourned.